Hey guys, welcome back to World of Warships. Today we're taking a look at the Libertad nerfs, finally. Ever since this ship was released, it's sort of just been running the show here at high tier Los Andes as well, alongside Ipiranga. All three of these Pan-American tech tree battleships have received some nerfs, specifically around their maneuverability. That was one of, not the only, but one of the problems with them. And we finally see that here on Libertad, where it's not going to essentially drift as much. The ability to sustain high speed during turns is specifically what Wargaming is mentioning here. You're going to notice that it still feels relatively maneuverable, and that's thanks to its really strong rudder shift as well as good turning circle radius. But you should notice we're not drifting around the map nearly as much. This ship does have a little bit weaker acceleration now. It is still baked into the ship as far as the acceleration goes, so there's no ability to buff it anymore like we would see on other tier 10 battleships. This ship never really had that ability since it was so baked in. The acceleration on ship tool here we can see used to be 13.6 seconds to 90% max speed, and now it's down at 32.6. Much more reasonable. Still better than a lot of tier 10 battleships, but that's a pretty significant change, and I will say I felt it. I felt like I noticed my ship not accelerating nearly as quickly. And again, we can't buff it, so they did not add back the propulsion mod to this ship. So that is what we're stuck with. Other ships in the same ballpark are actually capable of buffing their acceleration. Things like Kremlin, for example, well known to sometimes want to take prop mod and then sit bow on an island or something like that and just shuffle back and forth. It's a very difficult ship to take down then. Libertad can still do that, but you'll notice that we're a little bit slower, which I think is a good thing. I am of the opinion that this is a very fun ship to play. I do enjoy pushing and brawling in this game, as you know. So to have this ship still retain that tanking ability, but not be so ridiculous as to maneuver around the battlefield like a light cruiser, I think is a good thing. I will say, I would love to see them implement some more nerfs to this ship. I don't think it's dead at all. This is not a ship that is over now. The party's not over because of these nerfs alone. This ship is still incredible, as we're about to see. We've already racked up a ton of potential damage. Vast majority of that is the Guden, but dodging around torpedoes still can happen, and that's thanks to this turning radius and rudder. To me, it makes sense to have a ship like this one in the game and have it be a bit of a brick. Something that is not very maneuverable. It's got a massive amount of guns. It's got a ridiculous amount of guns, in fact. But shouldn't that come with the downside of being one of the slowest, least maneuverable, least good concealed battleships at tier 10? You can see it coming from a mile off. It's very easy to hit. Sure, it's well armored, but it shouldn't be this quick or well concealed or have such a good turning radius, in my opinion. And if we look back at the buffs they gave to Libertad before it released, this on release day actually went live, where they reduced the turning radius. They also reduced the rudder shift. So it used to have a 1020 meter turning radius. Now it's 910, and it still retains that to this day. Also, the rudder shift being down at 13.6 seconds is kind of wild when it used to have 17.6 in testing. I do think adding some of those nerfs back to this ship would make it more reasonable. It still can dodge a lot of these torps. Sure, it can't drift, but we're still able to turn and maneuver our ship quite well thanks to that rudder shift and that turning radius. It's not going to slide around the map, but you certainly are able to position the ship very quickly and react to torpedoes on your broadside very, very quickly. This ship does not have a hydro, and that is a downside relative to German battleships. But given the reaction time is really what matters to dealing with torpedoes a lot of the time, our improved rudder shift and turning radius means that it's still similar to using a GK or something like that to try and avoid torpedoes. We got to talk also about this special commander. The special commander here, Lisboa, still not available, unfortunately, but he's going to give you some massive bonuses, and it's just so much. The buff to your secondary reload here is very extreme. Main gun reload also getting some help here, and of course getting you back to your F key even sooner. This ship of course also has an F key. This ship has so many gimmicks on it. I think given that Atlantico hasn't been seen as such an overpowered ship, I think they just gave it too much. I think they juiced this line just a little bit too much. And I would be sad to see it lose its fun factor as a brawling battleship player, the tankiness and the overwhelming firepower at close range. I would be sad to see it lose those features, and at the cost of some of these gimmicks they've added that don't add as much to the playstyle, in my opinion, although the feeling of the playstyle, although certainly add to the power level of it, don't get me wrong. And the other thing I want to talk about when it comes to balancing this ship, or what I would potentially do, is it comes down to armor. We'll show this at the end of the video, of course, but if you've seen Libertad armor before, you know that it is 50 millimeters spaced with 406 angled plating on the Citadel, which is slightly above water. But it's so armored that it's very difficult to get through. This ship is very hard to Citadel. One of the most difficult ships to Citadel in the entire game, flat broadside. Most of the other ships have waterline Citadels, sure, but if you hit that section of the ship, it's going to Citadel. Whereas this one, it's got a good chance of just shattering. Just because there's so much armor, and again, that angle helping out so much. For me, I wish these ships had their Citadel right at the broadside, no spaced armor. Leave it at 406 and make it so it's flat. Flat 406 above water, to me, alongside the nerfed maneuverability, standard Battleship Excel, standard Battleship Tier 10, rudder shift, and turning circle radius. Is Monty still at a rudder shift of 22 seconds, by the way? Let me just double check this while I'm recording right now. It is, yeah. 22 seconds. Right, like give it some worse maneuverability. Give it some exposed Citadel, but angled when tanky when angled, and just an insane number of guns. I think that would be fun ship to play still. I think it would still have its identity. This nerf is a nerf. This is a legitimate nerf to the ship. Probably not enough for most people to think it's okay. And you're going to see here, I normally would be able to dodge all of these torpedoes. These torps were spotted from a long way off, thanks to our Shimakaze, who scouted them out for me. And I still ate one. These are legitimate nerfs to the ship. If you're wondering why I'm not shooting here, we only get one salvo before he can potentially turn and torp us. So I'm letting the secondaries pressure and then shooting him when he goes broadside, hoping to take him out before he gets the opportunity to torp, before he gets that angle. But I think he got it, unfortunately. That's why I didn't shoot. Otherwise, if you shoot when he's angled, you're less likely to hit because the dispersion here is not so good. And then it gives him a free opportunity to turn away and get those torpedoes. Here, though, we do manage to avoid them, thankfully. A lot of potential damage here. Again, Guden bombs helping us out a ton on that potential damage. This ship also has improved healing, as we all know. The heals here are 60-second cooldown instead of 80-second cooldown. Does it need that? Probably not. Also, they heal back 16.8% instead of the standard 14%. We see that on other battleships. It's got a lot. It's got a lot of gimmicks. I was really looking forward to, and I have enjoyed this line. Looking forward to it thanks to Atlantico giving us a bit of a blueprint towards what this could be. Lots of guns, but weak in certain ways. Atlantico, though, does have the, submerged Citadel, I guess is the best way to put it. You just can't Citadel that thing, which I don't like either. But as far as game design goes, that one doesn't even get HE, for example. And it doesn't get the F key. The F key here is very powerful. I make a mistake here, not remembering that there's a GK on our flank, and we get punished for it. Look at that. We ate a Citadel. That's what I want. That needs to be more consistent. It doesn't need to be a surprise that a GK at 9 kilometers is able to Citadel me when I don't angle. That shouldn't be a surprise. That should be a guarantee to me. And those are the main things I would like to see. This ship is still incredible. For those of you that have been enjoying it or are thinking about, is this line worth grinding anymore? Have they nerfed it into the ground? Well, certainly not the tier 10. The tier 10 here is still incredible, getting us up to 233k in this one. A lot of potential damage, again, inflated by the dive bombers here, but still a good tanking game. And lots of kills. The Confederate high cal. And I believe that's an expert badge in the Libertad. So pretty good match. And I think we won that because we were able to hold that flank so well. This is not a ship that can stand in the open forever like Valparaiso. The difference between Valparaiso and the Libertad Los Andes is that these ships, the tech tree ones, have overwhelming firepower, but they don't have that ability to just sit in front of everyone and just heal through it. They will go down over time. They're still very tanky, but they will go down a little bit sooner. You can't just full send like I was doing in Valparaiso. You got to be a little bit more careful. And I think perhaps this is the main issue with dealing with this line and Libertad, Los Andes in particular at these tiers is the firepower is overwhelming and they're well concealed. They're relatively quick. They still have solid guns. They're 419s, right? They're still very capable of dishing out incredible damage, very tanky. And what happens when you don't just full send with them? What happens when you play smart and angle the ship, kite it away? How does someone deal with this, right? I think that's a bit of an issue too. A lot of people have pointed out, and I completely agree with them, that a ship like this doesn't necessarily promote brawling, unless the person operating it does just full send in, which isn't always the case. A lot of people do play it like this, so I had to do it. I had to not do the full send play here and see what it's like. It turns out it's pretty good at these mid ranges angled away. F key giving us that 15 kilometers of range. You can't get away, Owami. But a ship like this one, how do you deal with it? At long range, if you can't detect it, well, you can't farm it. And if it's pushing you, your only option is to run away. Sound familiar? Sounds a little bit like carriers, doesn't it? What's your option to deal with it? Run away, clump up. It's not a carrier. I disagree, politely disagree, with the take that this is similar to a carrier. But in some ways, I can see that a ship like this one does mean you have to be playing further back. You can't get caught by one of these at 12.5 kilometers. Its concealment is too good. It's not punished for going broadside. So it can afford to just push a flank and catch someone and they're dead. This Georgia will not get away. We have a hull here as well as an Izumo. So, you know, this is not a great position for him to be in. But I think the point still stands, and I do agree with the people who have been pointing this out, where a ship like this one, if you know it's in the game, you got to wait and see where it shows up before you take advanced positions on islands. Because if it just sends around the corner on you, how do you deal with it? That's where I think some of this issue comes from. It needs to still be powerful at close range, but it needs some weaknesses. I think concealment, I think maneuverability more so on the rudder, and turning radius could be toned down. And again, that citadel, I think getting punished for misangling is a big deal here, and would limit its ability to just full send people at these closer ranges and feel like there's nothing you can do once it gets to those closer ranges, especially if you can set up crossfires. That would make it more interesting. You can let me know what you think in the comments down below. I'm obviously someone who enjoys this brawling ship, the Secondaries. It's ridiculous. I would prefer it be manually controlled. Certainly the carrier rework is something I talked about quite a lot, and how little gameplay interaction there is between players. And a lot of you rightfully pointed out as well, Secondaries, not player controlled. That's just AI. And I agree. I would love manual control over Secondaries. I do think that given the shell arcs on a lot of these Secondaries, they would be less accurate if they were player controlled. Barbiano certainly proved that to me, where that ship is very difficult to lead at longer ranges, and yet it still has better shell velocity on those 90 mils than Napoli 90 mil Secondaries would have. So Napoli would actually be harder to use those Secondaries on if the player was in control of them, because the lead time is so extreme. I think Libertad, similar. The lead time here, especially if you leave the F key gimmick, giving it the ability to get 15 kilometers range, it'd be hard to hit people. It'd be more fun too. More fun for the player to be in control of this insane number of guns. Caught out again by DD Torps here. And that's a situation where probably we take Torps anyway with the old Libertad acceleration as well, simply because we don't have the reaction time for deep water torpedoes. But I do think this is a reasonable nerf to the ship. It has reduced the power level of the ship. Is it enough? I guess that remains to be seen, given that they haven't touched Colombo and its legendary mod yet, a ship that is also incredibly difficult to deal with these days. They might think this is good enough. This might be enough. I'm not sure. Personally, I would love to see more weaknesses on ships that we can exploit by playing well, rather than the game sort of just letting people get away with going broadside. And maybe a little bit less getting punished at really weird random angles. Poor Yamato has that old vulnerable citadel. Yeah, the armor profiles are very different given a few years or almost a decade now in development time difference. And overmatch, certainly with Libertad here, we don't have a ton of it. It's similar to 406s, right? That's the main thing. You can't overmatch 30, but you still overmatch all these light cruisers here. So it's a ship that retains a lot of that difficulty to deal with in terms of you can't really angle to it that well. Maybe if it still had 380s and not improved pen angles like Valparaiso gets or something. I don't know. I'm just kind of rambling here. It is still a ship I enjoy quite a lot. I'm just trying to figure out ways that we can retain some of these really fun ships that excel at close range while making it good to play against. Because I do recognize that this can be very difficult and annoying to fight. And I'm not sure exactly what the solution would be, but I've just given you a bit of my rambling thoughts here on it. So let me know what you think in the comments below. Now, as for the build on this ship, I think there's a few different ways you can go about running this one. I prefer more so towards a tank build and getting extra healing. We still want fire prevention, and I'm giving up concealment here. This is why I think the concealment should be nerfed. I'm not really punished for not running conceal because I still have 14.4 detect. Something like Montana, Yamato are in that 14.1, 14.2, 14.3 range with a full conceal build. Why can I get pretty much that without running full conceal build, right? It does let me get away with this though, and taking AR here for the massively boosted reload then, especially on these secondaries as you get to lower HP. I did try a few where I was running improved repair party readiness instead of adrenaline rush, but I found I just wasn't getting through all of my heals before the game was over or I was dead. So decided to go with AR then again. Emergency repair expert here does give us the 5th heal guaranteed if we don't get to all the potential damage. 2 million is required here to get the extra one. You're pretty likely to get to it though if you've already used 4 heals and you need the 5th. So there's an argument to be made here that I should be running this one. And then this also does give us a little bit longer duration on our damage control as well as that heal, but that's of situational value. Gives you some more immunity time. A different way you could run it if you wanted conceal and the extra heal and you're willing to give up adrenaline rush is actually to, instead of take emergency repair expert, go conceal and then take improved repair party instead of AR. And that gives you up to 5 heals on those games where you need it. It still gives you the concealment, and that is a fun build to run as well if you're interested in having the heals while also retaining concealment. 13 detect with 12.5 kilometer range on those secondaries. That's difficult to deal with. This commander is wild. Still no word on whether he's coming back, man. Feels bad. But relentless firing here giving you massive bonuses. Massive bonuses. This guy used to be a lot worse, or a little bit worse. I think secondary reload time was around 15 seconds, and then they buffed him on release to 22.5. You know, maybe buffing things on release results in issues when we don't test them. I don't know. The other problem with giving this ship the improved acceleration built in, again, it's much worse than it was before, obviously, like we've talked about. It means that you're not punished for running steering gears. You can still run steering, and that gives us 10.9 second rudder on a ship like this one with 9-10 turning radius. If it had even worse propulsion built into it, maybe just standard, and gave it prop mod back so it could get to this level that it has now with prop mod, then you would be forced to not take steering gears, and then your rudder shift would be worse. Things like that could be good for it. The The other thing just being making these back to like over 1,000 meter turning radius, 17-second rudder shift time base, things like that. It would not be bad in that situation. For those of you who enjoy this ship as it is and are sad to see it nerfed, it would not be bad in that situation. It would still be very, very good. It still is very, very good. And the armor, just so you can see it here, I was talking about that a lot. This is kind of the issue. Look at how angled this plate is here. It's sloped down, right? Shells are going to be coming in from an upwards angle like this, impacting. So even worse, and it's going to just glance shells down. It's going to deflect them down. On top of that, you just have the 50 mil plating. So it's 51 plus 406 spaced. We all know what spaced armor does, kind of black hole armor where shells get lost in here. You may pen this, but there's another angle check, another pen check here. If it doesn't pen, just a shatter or a torp protection hit. It's pretty common to get torp protection hits here when you think you should have had citadels. And that would be why. So if this plate was at the side of the ship, there was no spaced, and it was just 406, and it was this far above water, maybe. I'm a big fan of ships having strengths, having really fun, interesting strengths, but coming with downsides too that you have to really consider. And I don't know if this one has enough downsides that you have to really consider. Seems like it just lets you push and do a ton of damage. But, you know, less excelled means this ship will take more torpedoes, will be easier to hit when it's turning and dancing around open water. That was a big issue, is open water. It could turn back and forth and drift around all the incoming fire because lead times were, 10-second lead times. The ship can shift its rudder in that period of time. And if it was drifting at, 27, 28 knots at that case, that's hard to hit such a small superstructure, man. So I hope this is I hope this does something. I hope this does help deal with this ship. But I also do want this ship to... I really want it to retain that fun factor of being such a ridiculous number of guns at close range and having fun with that. So again, let me know what you think in the comments down below. It's going to do it for this one. We will be taking a look at Los Andes for sure. That one got more of a nerf, I would say. And we'll see how that one goes. But for now, this is going to do it for the Libertad. Thank you very much for watching, and have a great rest of your day.